Hi, everybody. I'm totally not starting the stream to avoid talking about something, and I also haven't turned on my webcam. I'm really just aces today. I'm gonna keep talking though. Zhao won't be joining us today due to a family emergency. We hope everything goes well with him and his family. Because unlike some other people, Zhao likes his family. Um, yeah. Uh, Wednesday is normal. Nothing else going on. Still don't know what I'm doing with the intros yet. Um, Recap. Also didn't ask anybody about this. Anybody want to do the recap?
I can always jump in if no one else is prepared.
Thanks for volunteering, Ben.
Nailed it.
All right. Well, actually, pretty easy recap.
Mhm.
We had been fighting some wolves the session prior, and once that was done, we skinned them and took everything that could possibly be value off of them. And we took everybody to a cave because a blizzard was hitting. Due to some creative uses of spells and inventive NPCs and the resources we had gathered from the wolves, we were able to make the cave pretty warm and comfortable for everybody, which allowed everyone to have a long rest, except Roz, who chose to stay awake all night. And whilst being awake all night, and whilst others of us were on watch duty, we could hear heavy thumping of something large wandering around, and it kept kind of circling the cave that we were in, although not like predatorily, just sort of at intervals. So everybody, upon waking, decided it would be best if we took care of that, because we have a lot of prisoners who are or former prisoners who are in various states of health and didn't want to face something large and scary and put them at risk. So some scouting was done. It was discovered that this was a large skeleton monster, likely being controlled by a fairly powerful necromancer. But we were able to fight it and kill it pretty quickly, and also strip it of anything even remotely valuable. And then we were able to get everybody back to camp safely and soundly. And that's roughly where we left off. We had just gotten back to camp, met up with some loved ones, tried to get prisoners reintegrated, and Hybrid kind of went off to do their own thing. That's all I've got.
Yeah, real good. Anybody have anything to add?
No.
Okay. Great. In which case, we will begin. As been stated, you've all arrived back at the hunter's camp. A ready and medical team had been on standby, waiting for the return of your particular group due to your mission, with understanding that if you were successful, you bring back a bunch of potentially wounded and those in need of medical attention. They came rushing in to whisk away the rescued prisoners of war, to tend to them and provide them with food and shelter and warmth and everything else they'd possibly need. There were several other loved ones that greeted each of you as you arrived. Most willing and happy to whisk you away towards the Greenwood part of the refugee camp to make sure you could just get the well-deserved rest that the party has earned. Mostly because timing. I don't know if where I lost it or if I lost it, but it is 3 a.m. on the 34th. In case someone was taking ultra meticulous notes and for some odd reason you have a different time, in which case you were probably right, but it's 3 a.m. now. Because I said so.
I'm being called out.
Well, also for anybody else, there are several note takers in the group, and I don't know how particular people are. I'm just saying. This came up because of Kay, but for anybody else, just, you know.
I'm not super strict on the time notes.
Good. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the general consensus is everybody goes to bed.
Yep.
Yeah, it's 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
That was incorrect for, I think, a couple of us.
Well, that's why I'm asking again. So clearly Kay has something. Quinn, do you?
I don't think Will's going to bed because she just finished a long rest, essentially. But she is not doing anything of particular note.
Okay. Okay. What do you got?
All right, then. Audie was going to go find Covert.
Right.
Probably go by his desk, because
Yeah.
that's where he says he always is.
Given the fact that you've never seen Covert anywhere else in the camp other than maybe grabbing a bite at the tavern or like taking a patrol walk, you've never seen him have a tent or a personal space where you think he'd sleep. So the best place to check for Covert is back at his desk.
Which she does.
Yeah, easy enough to do.
She's challenging this assumption that he's always there.
Yeah, a bunch of people, like everybody that came to greet you and all the other party members are heading back towards that side of the camp. It's pretty easy to do in a bit of a gaggle. Yeah, and when you close in on that center pathway of the camp that divides the two sides from the professional mercenaries and the refugee camp, yeah, the raised desk podium illuminated by the gentle magical lights surrounding down the central lane. You see Covert in his chair, sitting at his desk. He's currently leaned back with his feet kicked up, and he's twirling a pen between his fingers, clearly contemplative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she'll walk right up to the desk. She's, I'd say she's not walking with any purpose. Like she's not marching up to him.
Mm-hmm.
But she approaches the desk.
Oh, Melody, I heard the kerfuffle over there. I'm assuming that was all of you coming back, and there they all go. Successful, I take it?
Safe and sound. Not all
Very
in one
good.
piece, but we're here.
Wait. What pieces are missing?
You'll have to see for yourself.
I really don't like this weird cryptic message you've delivered to me in the middle of the night. Do I need to call
What do you expect?
direct information about mercenaries I'm responsible for who have come back in pieces?
It's not mercenaries.
Gotcha, the rescuees. Yeah, okay. More reasonable and awful, but fair enough. Okay. Again, still a weird cryptic update, but he leans forward onto his desk, flips open the big ledger he constantly references, and you see him jot down a few quick things before he tosses the pen back in the centerfold. Anything else you have you want to pass along while you're here?
Well, first I'm going to be getting a tea. If you want one, I'll grab you one. Or coffee or a drink, whatever you like. But I'll be back to talk.
Okay. I do prefer tea, but I have extremely high standards, so I tend to make my own. If you can wait, I can do the tea thing.
You're a friend to share?
I wouldn't have brought it up if I wasn't.
All right, I can wait.
Okay, perfect. Well, it's weird if you're just gonna stand there. Yep, here. He reaches forward, pulls open one of the larger drawers on the right side of his desk, and he pulls out a slip of paper, small, folded, like 2 inches by 2 inches, puts it on top of his desk, and then you see him proceed to pull out several other things. A tray, what looks like a ceramic teapot, and some small, like tea-sipping glasses. Very elven in style. Then he pulls out a small wooden box that he sets next to it. He goes, all right, do you want to come up here or do you want me to go down there?
Is there a second chair
There
by the
isn't.
desk?
No.
No. Does the desk look sturdy enough for someone to sit on it?
Extremely.
Right, she'd be like, but I don't mind sitting up there unless you have a problem with people being that close to your things.
Well, are you planning on stealing paperwork from me, Melody?
No.
Then I have nothing to worry about him.
She'll hop up then and take a seat. Probably has her feet like dangling, because I'm sure once she's hopped up on the desk, she might not reach the ground.
Yeah. You can stay there if you're comfortable, but I was going to do this. And he grabs that square of paper I mentioned earlier. And you see him unfold it, and then he just sort of lets it go, and it unfolds itself into a sitting chair. It's roughly like a dining room chair. And he just puts it next to him, like on the corner of the platform. But if you want to sit on the desk, that's fine too. I mean,
I still have a lot to learn about magic, that's all.
Yeah, you'd be
And
surprised how many things can be made out of paper.
And she'll scoot down and sit on the chair. She
Quite
feels it's a bit more polite.
It's quite sturdy. And even if you kind of like shuffle it to like get into a comfortable position, it's not very heavy, but it's heavy enough that you feel like secure in it. Okay. Well, I mean, if you want to tell me about the mission or ask for advice, I'm just going to make the tea, so it's going to take a couple of minutes, so I can listen while I do that. And he does. He immediately, he takes the teapot, he opens up the wooden box, and you can see there's several small segments with different tea leaves, of which you begin catching a wide array of floral scents kind of tickling your nose. And he just begins going through a very delicate process of preparing the tea leaves and getting a bunch of other things, most of which, like when it comes down to like needing water or starting a fire, he does usually with a bit of sleight of hand and then magically produces it and it begins setting everything up.
Mm-hmm. And Audie had mentioned during the wait time back, she had been taking count of the prisoners, the rescued prisoners, and do we remember the count? My brain is telling me 17, but I didn't know if that was accurate.
No, it was more than that.
Okay.
I believe I was always saying just under 30, but you guys would have been able to do the head count, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was exactly 28 after everything was all said and done.
Sounds right to me.
Sure.
It's 28 now.
Make that note. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Audie would proceed to give her report. You know. We found him. Micro's companies really got their act together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It really showed us how it was done. But they had a tank. Big burly looking thing. Had some bugs in it. Had some what were the other ones called?
The humanoid ones? Yeah. Knights. Yeah. You guys fought bugs and knights.
Had a couple of knights there too. Killed my first one. That was strange. But that's not really part of the report. There's 28 of them inside. Got them out. They're getting healing right now. And there was another creature in a big glass tank inside it. Oh, we call him hybrid, but he looks to be lightning drain dragon or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a bit surly. Takes to you better when you speak in Draconic, but I'd be a little surly if I was him too.
just been set free, held against his will. Yeah, within his reason to be upset.
And because the player, oh no, I was gonna say the player doesn't remember. The player does remember. He's a half elf, right?
Covert? No, he's a full elf. He's a
Right.
full-blooded layered elf.
Because the Yarrow sisters were elves.
Huh? And so was his father.
Yes. Yes, that part I knew. And she'll sit back and be just a little thoughtful for a bit, and just kind of shake her head and be like, "Great, you got them back. Almost got stuck in a blizzard. I'm sure Titan will give you all this in a report, or Raz. Do you do it a bit more official than I do? Oh,
Yeah, it's fine. You don't have to do the report at all. If you just came back, you can rest. You know.
I insulted a skeleton to death. Oh, I mean, the rest of them. The rest of them beat it up pretty badly, but I kind of yelled at it and collapsed.
He stops for a moment of his preparation. And it's like right with his hand hovering with the lid to the teapot over top of it, and he just stops and turns and looks at you. You hurt a skeleton's feeling so greatly that it just died?
And she's kind of grinning and nodding like, yeah, I think it did.
Impressive. And he drops the lid.
Either that or it just really had soft feelings. If that's the case, I feel a little bad.
Well, I'm sure it was it was due time. Best to put him back down in any way.
Before I get to the really serious questions, let me ask you a partially serious question. Well,
Okay.
it's still a serious question. It's just not as serious as the other topic.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever killed an elf before?
He sits back, folds his hands in his lap, and then he looks at you and makes very strong eye contact and he nods. Mm-hmm. A couple.
It's different than killing anyone else.
Like a different race or from monsters?
All of it.
I would say everything you kill that moment is exactly unique to itself. I would say every time is different.
Gonna hurt every time.
Can you repeat that?
It's gonna hurt every time.
I can't really answer that for you. It depends on the person. Sometimes you won't feel anything for killing a creature that was hurting someone else. Sometimes it's really easy to look at something that isn't a living, breathing, standing on two legs humanoid and remove it because it is harming what is most people are used to considering their normal lives, and it was just. And other times that logic can be applied to, well, other people like you and me, where you might have a justified reason to take their life. And for some people, they'll feel fine. They think their reason was just. They won't sleep any differently because of it. And others will remember that for the rest of their lives. Because it's a weird line to step over. Making a decision for you to end someone else's life.
reminding myself what it was like to be there in Greenwood. And when everything went belly up,
Mhm.
makes it a little easier. Because the other half of me, it yells at me that, these are my cousin, these are my kin. They're from Azelle. Half of me's from Azelle.
Mhm.
Which I guess brings me to my second point. And she kind of heaves a sigh and rubs her face down. They tried to give us the best education they could in Greenwood. I mean, we got Lotus and Titan in there. They quite learned, so, they did pretty good.
Mhm.
Whether we listened, that's another thing, but they tell us things about, the one thing that has been in my mind lately has been about, Tough Curry. How there was such an issue around them being loyal to Ratchery and the rats, the underground, whatever else they called them.
Mhm.
But it wasn't just them either. And we got ways to prove that Jazz from Azelle. But I'm worried some people will get unreasonable. Keep hearing people call it the gnomish scourge. But half this camp, well, maybe not half, but a chunk of this camp is also gnomish. If somebody gets a bad idea, it's going to turn ugly. That's what the books told us anyway.
Mhm.
Figure I should bring it to you, seeing as you got some clout around here. You deliver the words, you deliver the messages.
Well, better or worse, you're not the first person who've talked to me about this. There have been a couple of incidents in the camp already that I've had to mediate between. There's a lot of fear going around right now. A lot of it unjustified, but that's because fear is irrational. I'm doing my best to keep things in the camp under control in regards to that. But it is perhaps not widely known here, but in a lot of other places, widely known that a lot of gnomes have defected from Azale because they don't agree with what's happening, and they've come to fight on this side of the war. I'm sure that's an equally difficult decision for them in a lot of ways. Having to leave home, perhaps leave behind family. We know gnomes have enormous clans, right? So who knows what it means to leave from their side to head to this side, and then, especially if they join the war effort, to understand that you might be on one side of a battle killing family because of this difference of opinions that have come up. And then also understanding that there are going to be people that will never trust them. In which case, it feels like the sacrifice that you've had to make to come this far is going to be for naught. Especially if people who you expect to protect you on the battlefield won't.
It cheers me a little. Having that confirmation that it's not just a homeland. That it's people within it.
This... Go on.
I imagine if they make it this far, that we'll welcome them with open arms. They're a fierce bunch. They'll pull their weight, they'll do their part.
As everyone that can afford to will. There are hundreds of refugees here and no small shortage of volunteers to try to do everything they can to help. And while not everyone's fit to soldier, to carry a weapon, plenty of people are here willing to use what skills they have, trades they've learned to support everyone else here. But your feelings aren't unwarranted. And this is kind of an unprecedented thing that's happening. There have been wars, and there have been battles and huge cataclysmic events that have unfolded over the course of this world's existence. But none have been this personal. This is probably never going to be easy. He stops and he pours 2 cups of tea. And he sets a cup in front of you. It smells of lavender and cocoa.
I have a tea like that.
Thus the inspiration.
And she'll breathe it in and she'll kind of look up at the sky for a bit. That's good to hear.
We'll just route out the others. We'll get it started. I think we gotta. Because if not us, then who? That's what my dad always tell me. If you see something wrong, and you don't do anything about it, what makes you think anybody else is gonna do anything about it?
It's good that you've stepped up. You and the others from Greenwood, and as I said, a bunch of others in the camp too. Certainly makes this effort a lot easier. And the thing that everybody will eventually come to realize is that everyone fighting on this side is doing so to try to recover what has been taken from us. To try to restore order to a thing that we understood. And to try to save as many lives as we can.
Any of the other missions back yet?
Of those that have come back recently, 2. The initiates from the Chapter of Fire that went to the Adventurous Totem returned earlier, technically yesterday, around mid-afternoon. And sometime later that evening, closer to about 10 p.m. As a matter of fact, one of yours, Viren Lathath, the hunter, he and some other mercs from the refugee camp returned as well. Between you and me, I haven't had an opportunity to observe him very closely. He's had a change while he was out on that mission.
In a bad way? In a good way?
Time is yet to tell. In a way that I think you and your friends would understand. In that way.
Keep an eye on him.
Always do.
Maybe have a meal with him later. Play a game of cards. I'm sure he'll open up with someone.
I think he could use a friend. I think he's quickly worked his way into circles of other mercenaries so that way he can keep taking missions. After his last partner, Jace got his leg hurt and is resting.
Never really been one to sit still. But could be madness too.
Is it? Just have someone check up on him. Someone closer to him than me would probably, I feel like, do a lot more.
And I think after that, Audie would probably, continue with maybe small talk. Ask if he plays cards, if he ever actually goes for a drink. Because she doesn't just want to, like, gulp down her tea and run away. So she's wanting to enjoy the tea for a little bit. So she'll probably be there another half hour or so. Before, I'd say heading to camp.
Okay.
Unless he has other gossip to share that needs to be taken down in notes.
No. He would rather... He would entertain the conversation, but then would delicately send you to bed. Is that all for Melody?
Yeah, I imagine when she gets back to camp to rest, it's pretty quiet.
Yeah. In which case, anybody else? Quinn, I know you said Lilith is awake. Nothing of note, just kind of waiting till next morning.
Yeah. Kind of passively working on the presentation / story. She's going to have to give the flames about the history.
Wise. Okay. Well, the good news is you at least have company the whole night. But, okay. You all did not that long ago take a long rest. Right? Long rest, fought the skeleton, and then
overnight.
And then hiked back.
It's been a day. Right?
Okay.
Like it's
No.
Yeah.
Was it a full day?
Look, you can try and be strict on the hours if you like, but we
No.
woke up in the morning and then traveled and fought and traveled, and then we went to bed at 3 a.m. It's been a day.
Okay. Yeah, my brain's just got everything slightly mismatched. It doesn't matter because you guys can go to sleep. You guys can rest if that's a necessary thing for you. We move ahead. Eight hours of rest from that point, what takes us to 11:30. But of course, not all of that needs to be sleep for people. So in the start of the new day, is there anything of particular relevance people would like to pursue with the start of their time?
Rollins has to go give some armor back before the White Cross quartermaster gets too cross with her.
Okay.
But she's just gonna go do that.
Yeah, literally super painless. You can go there with the chainmail and be like, "I brought it back as discussed." Smile and receive your deposit back.
Cool. And then get a bath.
That's fair.
We need it so desperately.
Yeah, y'all all kinds of stank. Okay, so yeah, like I said, first half of the day, relevant things.
I was gonna say I don't want to be the only one talking, but Audie would probably make good on the idea to follow up with Viren and have a chat with her mom, because she should know some things. But if there are other things, I can certainly go last.
I do have one more thing. We need to sell stuff.
Mm-hmm. We can go through some of that.
That should go fairly quick, but boy, do we have a lot of stuff to sell with a lot of value.
Yeah. Some of it will be fairly straightforward. Some of it slightly less straightforward. Part of it could require haggling if you don't like your prices.
Never gonna like the prices these guys give.
Nope.
But yeah, let's see what they got.
Yeah, so let's just get some of the, let's get all the nitty-gritty stuff of that out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do the power cores first. Are you exchanging them all?
Unless we wanted to keep any, yeah. Did Titan want to keep one to break down?
Not at this juncture, no.
Okay, then I think we're selling them all.
Okay. Perfectly good. I had to go repost the table. Okay, so what's the total list?
4 E's and 1 B.
Okay, fairly straightforward. 2,700 gold or silver rather.
Okay.
Yeah, they give you no fuss. They are extremely happy to take the cores, quickly appraise them, and then hand you a chest full of silver.
All right. Then I've got 3 breastplates to sell.
Okay.
This is where I should jump in on some revelations I received about my character and its creation.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Roz. Plate mail will not be as quickly as we originally suspected. It turns out that I had a misunderstanding over when I get the halftime on crafting. That doesn't hit until level 10, I think.
10 or 11.
Inaccurately thought that it was earlier.
Got it. We got some work to do then.
So there's some work to do on your plate mail. So, keeping a breastplate might be smart. I have scale mail we could resize for you, but I don't know if you want scale. It's, not heavy armor.
With enough money, or with the money that we're getting already, without selling any breastplates, I could afford to get splint again.
Okay.
Which is better than any other medium armor I could get.
Yeah.
And splint's fairly cost efficient.
Anyways, thought I'd put it out there.
Okay, that being said, does anybody want a breastplate? Does anybody use medium armor?
Small.
I know a lot of people. That's fair. I mean, taken to a craftsman, they could be adjusted a bit. But I don't know if anybody would overly benefit from a breastplate. I think Audie is the only potential one, but you guys made her the Elven Chainmail, so I think that's pretty much as good as that's gonna get.
We're either selling it or I'm breaking them down. One of the two.
Yeah. Corona might want it, or might want one.
How hard is it to upgrade a small-sized item to a medium-sized item?
I probably wouldn't cause any fuss over it. It's a check. It's probably 2 hours worth of work for somebody who can metal work.
I'll sell 2 of them then. Keep one.
Yeah. Worst case, you end up selling this again later. But yeah, Corona's currently wearing scale mail, so I think if you were to adjust a breastplate, it would be better.
Mhm.
If you sell 2 of them, the price up front that they'll buy from you is 260 silver per breastplate.
You can do a little better than that, can't you?
I'm sorry, ma'am. Right here in the ledger, it says 260. You're more than welcome to attempt a persuasion check or an intimidation check and give me a relevant piece of roleplay to go with that.
Lost you for a sec. What'd he say?
I said you're more than welcome to give me a persuasion or intimidation check with a little piece of roleplay to go with it, if you would like to attempt to convince them otherwise.
This would be Roz's first time trying to intimidate someone in this campaign, and I just got an exploit for it called
Oh.
Commanding Presence.
Oh boy.
So Roz makes intimidation with strength and can add a d6.
Oh. That makes it much better in a lot of ways.
I think Roz is going to, if she's being shown the ledger, she's just going to put a finger down on it, slide the ledger aside, and look down at this clerk and go, "Now I know you can do better than that, can..."
And the number?
That was cocked. That is 8 plus 5 plus 6, 19.
19's pretty good. The best I can do is 290?
That's a good lad. 290 for the pair. Each.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be out of your hair.
And yeah, he'll take the breastplates and then give you 580.
Cool. That's it. I'm not going to stick around to hurt him.
He doesn't know that. Let that fear live. Faster.
Yeah, I might hurt him next time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, was that all for things of sale? Anybody else that has something, you can also just hop in if you want to do a quick transaction, unless you have a more meaningful transaction to do.
I think Corona was keeping all the pistols.
Well, we can always inquire of Zhao.
True.
I do know the scrap and metal that Corona harvested while you guys were looting stuff after the transport fight. He's giving to Vanya. But other than that, the rest of it is a little less certain. But we can find out and worry about it after we have an answer from Zhao.
In the meantime, that's all I had to sell.
Okay.
Titan will sell a scale mail.
Sure.
He's not going to haggle or anything for it. He's just going to flat price it out.
They'll give you 35 silver for it.
Okay. Otherwise, Titan is going to be going to where all the injured people we rescued are and helping out with the medical support today.
Okay. Yeah, it's in the southern side of the camp. Technically outside, it's where the orphans refuge clerics reside. they are the ones more or less responsible for the medical care of the entire camp, and they were in force when they collected all the rescued prisoners of war last night.
Okay.
But
Good. He's just there to help out.
yep, they will accept your help and your medical expertise, and help care for those that you've brought in. I don't know, for funsies, just roll me a percentile die, Ben.
Can do. There's the other one. 68.
Okay. Fortunately or unfortunately, no complications arise that require Titan's specific skills.
It's fine. If he's helping out, but like whenever there's downtime, he's going to be reading his book from Bandit.
Oh yeah, sure. You can just you said all day.
Yeah, but for the whole day.
Yeah, to like dinner time probably.
Dinner time, yeah.
You can take 2 hours of reading.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no one is so critical that it requires, around the clock supervision over top of everybody else. So while you are there and helping, you are likewise given opportunities to walk off, get a meal, take a stroll. It's
perfect.
It's lax.
Yeah, that's Titan's Day for today.
Okay. Quinn, what about Lilith?
Lilith is gonna go take a bath in the morning because, it's just what you do.
Yeah, of course.
And after that, she is going to go make her way over to the keep forgetting their names. Chapter of Fire camp.
Oh. Gonna go give your presentation.
Yep.
Do you invite anybody else from the group to go with you, or does anybody else from the group purposely make sure to go with Lilith?
She'll let people know that she's going so that they know where she is.
Perfect, you're not going alone.
No, okay. Everyone's welcome to come. It might be a while.
All right, that's fine.
Okay. In which case, Quinn, when does Lilith decide to go? So we can kind of shape other people's days a little.
Like 10 a.m.
Oh.
Wait, no, we woke up at like 11, didn't we?
A lot of other people that aren't elves, certainly.
She'll go at like 2 o'clock then.
Okay.
She doesn't want to overlap with the noon meeting or anything like that.
That's fair. Okay. I guess it's just Melody. Do you think Melody would be doing anything prior to the noon meeting? Because I have stuff. I just want to make sure if you were going to go fill in that little time gap with something else.
You have stuff for the rest of us to do, or stuff
to dole out at the noon meeting?
Oh, okay. I think the biggest thing she would probably do would be, for sure, she'd be talking to her mother beforehand.
Okay.
At the absolute. And then, like I said, depending on whether Viren's making himself scarce, she might have to hunt him down a bit later. So that one's a bit more fluid, but her mom she would catch fairly early.
Okay, yeah. It's let's start with your mother, and then we'll do the noon Merc meeting, and then with that relevant information, we can then branch outwards from there. So, your mother, Melody, like many other mothers of Greenwood, have taken to more or less overseeing the goods and various sundries of the survivors of Greenwood to make sure everybody has things, including food that isn't just the magically conjured stuff given by the camp, along with clean clothes, blankets, etc. Responsible for having people that wash clothes in cycles, things of that nature, trading amongst other camps and other villagers and things of that nature, along with being good-natured enough to just start making friends amongst other refugees. So she is a woman that is busy, but much in the way that your mother similarly kind of already did this while you were all in Greenwood, this is fairly, par for the course for her. In this particular instance, you can catch her out as she's hanging up a bunch of laundry to dry for the day.
Right, that would be fairly early on then, I imagine. Yeah, she would probably, come up beside her, help putting things up, or grab a basket as she's hauling it back up the hill, whichever.
Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, she's currently hanging things up. And as your mother is always the type, when she's in something, she's focusing on that task, but always aware enough of her surroundings to acknowledge things as things change. And so it's one of those, when you arrive on the scene, and she's in the middle of a bunch of clothespins tucked in her corner of her mouth and currently tucking something up, she takes a brief moment to stop and like quickly side hug you to acknowledge you and express her affection, but then kind of goes back to pinning up a somewhat sheet that's misbehaving.
And Audie will rush to get the other corner to kind of help, the extra pair of hands.
Yeah, it takes a brief or easier moment between the two of you, to which she'll take a brief moment and stop, and then pull the clothespins out of her mouth and, well, thank you for that, Melody. And she stops and turns and then gives you now a full hug. And then holds you out at arm's length. Well, you came back in one piece. Good enough for me.
I did. It's definitely different than just hunting wolves or chasing out bandits, doing information gathering. But yeah, we survived. All came back. Brought home a bunch of prisoners too. Darn ductility.
She just shakes her head. No, not yet.
Sorry. Warmth after rain, warmth before rain, warmth after rain.
Warmth after rain.
Oh, there are two of our own in the camp we saved. There's warmth after rain. And I'm pretty sure Ella dates with the healers still.
She has a moment of pause, because again, she kind of immediately went back to like absentmindedly hanging laundry. And then you see her freeze, and you see the expression on her face shift a little. It goes from happy, busy to neutral. Not sad or stoic or scared, just neutral. And then she turns to look at you. And she's not crying, but you can see the mistiness that's starting. And then she just beams at you. Well, ain't that good news to hear?
He's hurt, but he'll live. It just... But it's good to hear you. Family's slowly come back together again.
Well, we should hurry up here and go see him.
Yeah, we should. Probably shouldn't, I don't really know if we're supposed to be keeping this from the rest of the family until he heals up, or, I'm sure the medics don't want us swarming the tents. I don't think the doctors would be very happy about that.
Just let us see how he is, and then we can decide.
Right then. Let's go do just that.
And yeah, she'd if her mother wanted to finish putting up the rest of the laundry, she'd help do that quick, or if we're just leaving it where it is and passing it off.
No,
Audie'll go with her.
she chooses to hurry through hanging it up.
Mm-hmm.
You think the distraction is likewise good for her. You can tell during that time that she's taking that moment to sort of gather her feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can once you and your mother finish with that, and she passes word along that she's going to briefly leave. When you head back to camp, because the place where you all hanging up clothes is not too far from the river, which is all on the southern side of the camp, and that is where the Orphans Refuge has set up their operation. It's a pretty short walk to get there. Of which the camp is busy. Bustling is not quite the right word, but there are people moving to and fro. The various clerics and their acolytes. There are these large tents that have both sides wide open, pinned open to allow ventilation due to how muggy today is. And there are rows of cots with people in them being tended to. Most people seem fine. You can see them doing checkups on individuals that are intact, lucid, just kind of going through the motions to make sure everything's okay. You do, while passing through, catch Titan, whose current responsibility is doing those checkups, given his background and expertise in physical medicine, that he's able to, probably with a greater efficiency than many of the clerics and acolytes here, work through people, get their status, and be able to discharge them if they're fine, except for some time that they just need to rest and recuperate. But they really don't police people coming in and out of the camp necessarily. You can tell that you've been seen and even acknowledged by a few of them, who will just give you a nod or make eye contact, but then say nothing. Kind of, they have a purpose and they're going to continue it. That being said, the camp isn't so small that it's easy enough for you to, walk into a tent and find out where your brother is. So, Audie, how do you ply for information enough to figure out where he is?
I imagine she'd kind of do a quick look around just to see if, maybe we don't have to interrupt anybody. But then otherwise she'll be seeing if she can kind of catch someone's eye, or if when we pass by Titan, ask if he knows where he is. As unobtrusively as possible while still being, efficient.
If you want to ask Titan, it's probably the quickest way. As I said, many of the clerics and acolytes will make eye contact, and even some give you a nod of acknowledgement. But unless you really go out of your way to stop them, they aren't stopping.
Yeah, then she'll probably make a point of asking Titan on a pass by.
Yeah, Titan will point you in the direction, as I'm sure he's popped in already.
Mm-hmm.
All that being said, I'm sure Titan's also smart enough. He might just see Audie there with her mom and be like, over there.
Yeah. If you guys make contact, yeah, Titan probably could figure out, just point over while he's discharging somebody.
Actually, do me a favor, Titan, and just make a medicine check. You would have definitely stopped in and checked in on Aladade. Let's see what Titan got a chance to see now that you've been in a more secure environment.
He did very well. 25.
Wow. Yeah. So, like many of the people you've seen today, Aladade is malnourished, on the brink of dehydration. Like they fed him enough and gave him enough water to keep him alive, but never enough to really sustain the kind of labor they were pushing on these people.
Yeah.
Several pretty bad bruises in places. Like he's probably been hit or beaten for one reason or another. The severed arm, most notably the thing that you would go, oh yeah, clearly that's not normal. The arm where it was severed at the shoulder was clean. And you can tell it was probably bandaged once, and then when you guys rescued them, it was rebandaged then, and that was when it was easy to observe that his life wasn't in danger, but had he been left untreated, it would have been, because it did need to, through a combination of practical medicine and magic, remove an infection that was, again, without either of those things, going to be bad. But other than that, other than dehydration, malnourishment, bruises, a couple of fractures, which you think have healed and not great, and then the missing arm. Otherwise, his life isn't in danger.
Well, that's good. Quality of life has gone down a bit, but alive is alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Titan won't be holding long conversations with him. Rest is what's most important.
Mm-hmm. Which is to say, Aladade has come in and out of consciousness since you've brought him back.
Yeah.
He is beyond exhausted. It will take him several long rests to reduce his exhaustion. Wink.
Yes, he needs rest. Cool.
Yeah. That being said, Adi's mother, you could totally be shown where Aladade is.
Yeah. I imagine they would walk in.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
not want to get in anybody's way, but I'm sure they'd want to dote on him a little bit, hugs, kisses, welcome back.
Well, hit me with the first one. Just roll percentile die.
Sure. Uh, 28.
Okay. Unfortunately, when you go in, he is asleep.
Okay.
The tent itself has the least amount of patients. There are only 3 people here, which you do believe to be the more extreme cases. There appears to be a cleric that is kind of on duty here, and then several other acolytes that are sort of keeping an eye, everybody taking down information, making sure nothing makes sudden changes or anything crazy.
Mm-hmm. I think Audie would mostly be following her mother's lead. So for the sake of not necessarily making you, have a conversation with yourself, she'd mostly be observing her reaction. Audie had a chance to process things while they were in camp on the way back. Like she took the opportunity while on watch to kind of contemplate what this might mean. She's just happy he's back, he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
They're treating him. So she's really there mostly for emotional support for her mom.
Your mother sits in the stool next to the bed. And she very delicately takes his hand and is very gently holding it between both. She's holding herself together. She's not openly crying, and you can see that the edges of her eyes are pulled up by a waning smile that is fighting to keep itself there. You think she's kind of on that delicate line. But she seems to just be seeing him, feeling him, acknowledging that this is real. This is really him.
Mm-hmm.
He's back. And you feel your mother has always been somebody that's extremely considerate of all those around her, probably sometimes to her own detriment, that she is being purposely quite quiet because she doesn't want to wake him up. But much in the way that a mother often does for her children, you can see after the initial quiet moment, you can see her eyes kind of wander, see the bruises on him, see his, very hollow cheeks, how just a lot of him is kind of wasted away in the short time that he's been gone from you. Really kind of wondering just like what it was he had to suffer through all the time that he was gone, and how extreme it must have been to turn, her beautiful son into now this version of him. You could just see that she is sad, but she is fighting to stay happy and optimistic in a way to just have the support for him, because that seems to be more important to her than her own feelings right now.
Okay. And I imagine as in a cinematic way, the camera kind of pans out, lets them have their quiet moment together. Audie would start kind of humming very quietly. Again, we don't want to wake anybody else up, but she would start humming kind of that lullaby that her mom would always sing to them when they were sick to make them feel better.
Well, let's use some of that new fancy expertise you got. Roll a performance check.
All right. It's an 18.
Okay. Audie, you hum. It's soft, restrained, but practiced and familiar. And in a sense, the tension in this tent, for those whose lives are at a greater risk than all the others being cared for here, the tension seems to kind of evaporate, leaving just the quiet humming and the humidity behind.
Right. Yeah, and she'd stay as long as her mom needs to, or until she knows that the sit rep's going to happen, and she'd excuse herself for for the noon meeting.
Well, I think we can just move to the noon meeting. Seems like a good time for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, all of you with your various mornings between relaxing, bathing, some chores, dealing with some merchants that you probably otherwise not want to. The chiming bell is brought to rung out in the center of the camp, which brings many mercenaries to the forefront. Most notably, a lot of the representatives you've come to know from the professional side of the camp are here, with exception of the Immortal Bastion, who still appears to be out on mission. But more notably, there are probably about 4 or 5 other refugee groups that have pulled together groups of mercenaries. And it is pretty easy to note for a lot of you that you can see Viren, again, a well-known hunter in your village. He's actually standing with a group of them. Even with the scores, with the party's questionable insight, perhaps not being the highest amongst certain potential heroes, his countenance is noticeably darker. You kind of were watching a trend in a direction like that, given everything how it unfolded. But I'll stop there. However, for anyone that actually is kind of taking a longer look at him, I would take a perception check.
Most certainly.
There is definitely some more information there.
18 total.
Titan's not paying attention. 6.
It's a 9 from Audie, but she just can't quite get a beat on him.
Mhm.
Maybe somebody keeps walking in her way and she's like, you know.
Curse of a short person.
Oh, well, Ross got 20.
Oh. Okay, the pair of besties. You both observe about Viren the fact that again, his countenance is darker, which was kind of a noticeable trend that was occurring. But physically speaking, you can tell his stature and frame seem to have had a subtle shift in a way that some of you might understand that shift and change, and that he looks more toned than he used to. His frame is better built than it once was. The way that he stands and carries, you can tell that his overall ability to sort of perceive his surroundings appear to be sharper, much more than the Viren that you knew in the short time that you've been gone. Very plainly put, both of you have enough reason to maybe guess that what you all have gone through, you think Viren did recently too.
We'll make a mental note of that, but it's not going to run over. It's like, wow, you awoke too.
Of course. Hang on, yeah, I'm just passing it along. Covert on his on the stand with his desk will kind of twirl a finger in the air very briefly and clear his throat, and it will sort of reverberate in the clearing. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to camp for some of you. Brief catch up. Several successful mission returns. Good job, everybody. One of which brought back several prisoners of war, which are being tended to. If you have missing family or anyone that knows of anyone missing family, take them to the southern part of the camp and check in with the Orphan's Refuge. They have a list of names. They can verify if anyone you know has been found. Likewise, a new gnomish automaton, a new creation has been identified. It is yet to be named, but it is a large, heavily armored vehicle capable of holding approximately 30 individuals inside, capable of deploying various other types of automatons in self-defense. Usually requires a pilot, up to 3. These are the initial observations. The moment we have more information, I'll pass it along to all of you. 2. Another mission has brought back one of our first prisoners. An intelligence officer has been captured by a collaboration between the League of Phantoms and one of the other mercenary groups. No one is currently being allowed to see them. We are currently keeping them under magical lock and key and anti-divination spells to make sure that we can secure the position before having an opportunity to see if there's any relevant information we can extract from them. If you have relevant questions or things that you would like for us to inquire of, please submit those questions to me. Last but not least, the Chapter of Fire has recently returned after delving into an adventurer's totem. Very exciting for some of us. They have a report that they've submitted about their experiences therein. However, to acquire the report, you need to go speak to the Chapter of Fire directly. That is all I have. Does anybody have anything they would like to report themselves, or information or questions that they want to ask in front of the whole class?
I hate to speak up, but has there been any word about the Immortal Bastion?
No, none yet. They've
All right.
they've been out for just over 2 days now. We've received no word from them directly.
All right. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Keep up the good work, everybody. We've had substantial success here in this camp. Let's keep moving that forward. Every person we find, every operation we can disturb, it's more lives saved. For those of you that have completed your missions that have not received rewards, for those of you that have accepted above D rank and up, come speak to me at your earliest opportunity. Otherwise, see you tomorrow. Dismissed. And several of the mercs kind of separate and go off in their own respectful directions.
What was our mission ranked?
A fine question. I think, because I totally didn't actually rank your missions, yours would have been a D rank, and it would have been elevated due to the increased threat you have all dealt with, according to reports between you and White Cross Company. So it didn't push into a C rank territory, but it is a D plus territory, in which case there are rewards available for your group.
Oh boy.
I will make sure to keep track of the mission rankings in the future.
I was gonna go head over to the Chapter of Fire and give them that story that we promised them. I'll pick up the report while we're there on the adventure totem, assuming that they're just handing them out and aren't asking for something in return for them.
I'm sure you got another story or two.
Sounds good. I'll just be continuing my work in the healing tent. Come let me know if you need anything.
Same to you?
I've got someone I need to check up on. Would we get our reward from Whitecross, or would one of us have to go do it?
I'm not sure. It was a joint mission, but you could probably just talk to Covert. He'll know.
We're not members of White Cross. We're going to be rewarded separately.
Right then, well, I suppose we'll meet up back in camp then. make sure to grab the word.
So you're gonna go talk to Covert to get the reward? Was that the gist?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, as per usual, there's a small queue to speak to Covert, of which he exchanges documents with people, gives people sacks of coins. Eventually, it comes your turn. The Greenies. Good to see you all rested and awake. Here for your...
That name.
You all
That
should.
name is sticking.
Yeah, it's going to at this rate. Mm-hmm.
Nothing for it now, I suppose.
I mean, it's really up to you all to figure it out. Rather not if you want to get rid of it. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to be to stop.
Yeah, we get that.
Mm-hmm.
We just get busy. Speaking of business, though.
Here for your reward, I take it.
That we are.
Okay. Well, fairly simple. Due to the escalation of your mission and the report that you have given me, rewards are due. You have a couple of choices. 1, 500 silver. Very simple. Give it to you right now. Or you can pick amongst a bunch of magical baubles I have in my possession.
What kind of bubbles you got?
Well, let's see. I have a gem of brightness, which can illuminate dark places, blind people, fun things like that. A magical bag filled with fur balls that when you pull one out, summons a creature. Could be a tiger, could be a dog. Depends on the day, really. An animated rope that can get into difficult places to help you climb. And in case someone's feeling a little selfish, I will take a request to create a basic enchanted magical weapon.
Well, what does the rest of the gang think?
Audie kind of gives a bit of a shrug. Like, she doesn't know if she'd use any of the magical items, but
Well, I mean, if anybody's going to be right up front swinging, a magical weapon wouldn't be too bad. But I don't mind a silver hater.
I don't want to make that choice just out of entire selfishness since I got our last magical weapon taken. Not unless everyone agrees.
I mean, if you all need to deliberate and come back, it's perfectly fine. I can't promise all the items will be here, though.
Sensei, do we want to take a quick out of character poll?
Probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
All right. As a quick out of character poll, I mean, magic weapons are always useful and would be useful for all of our frontliners.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. Otherwise, the rest of it has no interest for Titan specifically. It's all stuff you could probably make with a bit of effort and some essences.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down with getting Raw as a +1 weapon.
But yeah, in case it wasn't clear, it's a bag of tricks. Specifically, a tan bag of tricks. Yeah, so tan bag of tricks, gem of brightness, rope of climbing. And or any +1 magical weapon that Covert will make himself.
Are we absolutely positive we're okay with Roz getting a +1 weapon? I don't want to be selfish.
I was gonna say, I think unless Yao has something to say for like Corona midweek, I think we're good with that. Especially because this would give Roz a +1 axe, which she has said she is very happy to wield axes.
Yes, yes. You might have noticed.
Okay, so sounds like that's what we're all agreeing upon out of character.
Think so.
Okay, so we can then do the in character. Inevitably, everybody agrees that Raj should get a magical weapon, and then come back and give it, report it to him, and he'll take that under consideration and begin working on it.
All right.
Is that all for your exchange with Covert and various trappings?
Yes, unless Audie wants to hit on him some more.
Nope, she prefers to do that when no one's around. If she's gonna hit on him here, she's gonna make it woefully uncomfortable on purpose. Like blowing him kisses as they leave, kind of thing.
That is
Great
weirdly
fun.
uncomfortable, yeah.
I'm going to go with Lilith then. Give that report.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did have one question. I've been informed that one of my siblings is due to arrive sometime within the next couple days. Do you happen to know which one?
Do you want to know which one?
Yes.
Because I could technically tell you, but I'm being weird about it because it's been that information's been delivered to me via covert documents, and I shouldn't tell you that. So how important is it to you?
Not important enough to get you in trouble.
I would only get in trouble if anyone here narcs.
I'll go away.
True, if you all leave, only leave Lilith here, and it gets out that I know it's Lilith that's the leak.
Titan's already gone.
Yep.
Yeah, Audie can make herself scarce.
I'm gonna steal your joke. But wait, aren't all of your correspondents covert?
I might kill you just because now. You know, you remind me of someone else that grabs at really bad jokes like that. Not a compliment.
You're allowed to have bad taste in jokes, I guess.
This is not going to get any better. And he just kind of raises a hand and just points a finger at you, but it's got a lot more sass behind the finger point than is necessary. And then you hear Covert's voice inside your head. It's your brother. Your brother Theron's coming.
There's a smile, but he could probably tell it's not as big a smile as the other option.
Mm-hmm. All right, run
Thank you.
along now.
She will give a kind of half bow and make her way out.
And as everyone begins heading in various directions, that's where we're going to take our break.
Break.
And we'll be back in 10 minutes' time. Or less. Usually 10 minutes. Anywho, be right back. Boop. We're back because 10 minutes went by really quickly. Yeah, so the end of the mercenary meeting has closed out. A reward has been chosen for Roz to be created by Covert. A great axe that will be enchanted with a +1. And if he's feeling up for it, a gem slot for future things. Who knows what that could be? PM. Yeah, from this intersection, Titan's going back to the southern camp to help with medical needs. Audie has a couple of things she wants to do, and it sounds as if Lilith and at least Roz are heading to the chapter of fire. Audie, do you want to participate going to the chapter of fire?
Because this is probably the first time she's seen Viren all day, does it look like he's running off with like a group to do another mission?
He is leaving with a group.
Okay.
You have no idea if they have a mission lined up or not.
Okay. Regardless, he looks like he's busy. He's with a group. He's not wandering off by himself.
Nope.
Yeah, she'll probably join them then.
Okay. In which case, Lilith, you were heading there pretty much just after the meeting?
Yep.
Okay. Well, then that's where we'll head next. So the three of you head to the chapter of fire, of which when you arrive at their camp, you can see the exterior of their camp is currently populated by several different individuals from different groups. You can see a couple of White Cross company members there. You can see that there are a couple of other mercs from the refugee side of the camp currently there, all of which are speaking to like a single acolyte or initiate. You suspect this many people are here to acquire a report of the adventurer's totem. And the large central tent that you've all been escorted to before, where you recruited Infern, the one side of the tent is completely drawn back. So basically one side is completely open. And the interior is much the same as before, still lined with large mounds of pillows, except there's a long table that is kneeling height, decorated with dishes and food and drinks. And you can tell the chapter of fire are entertaining those that do come to ask of them and interact with them. And likewise, you can tell that there's a specific group of members of Chapter of Fire who are at the far side of the table with the most luxurious pillows and are being tended to. And you suspect these are the initiates that have returned from the mission. So, how would you like to engage?
I suppose we could have expected it to be a bit busy. Well, we'll look around and see if there's anybody that doesn't look like they're currently busy, which you can talk to.
You can find one. It isn't particularly difficult.
Pardon me.
Yes, how can I help you?
I made a deal with your leader the other day to share a story of historical significance in exchange for some services of your company. I'm here to make good on the exchange.
Oh, yes, I have been informed. Please, if you would be so kind as to join us in the central tent.
Of course.
And this individual, a dwarf who has bronze-colored skin, red hair streaked with blonde, kind of pulled back into a series of multiple tight braids, a beard similar in fashion goes down to his chest, decorated highly with gold jewelry and red gemstones, quite contrary to normal dwarven aesthetic, because they so highly prize iron. But we'll lead you to the central tent, where you can tell there's revelry is maybe slightly too strong of a word, but there is quite a bit of levity. People are happy and enjoying themselves, and partaking of drink and food, and just enjoying this atmosphere and this opportunity to not be in the usual, somewhat more business-oriented part of the camp. You get led up to the one side of the far side of the table, where you can see the initiates, 3 initiates in particular, that are gathered there. And Ritrara, the leader of the Chapter of Fire, the failing in question, is just off to their left. She's currently engaged in a conversation with them. But the dwarf will stop, will clear his throat briefly, and then when Vitrara turns, he offers a 1/4 bow. These guests have finally arrived to deliver on their half of the agreement. I leave them with you. Yes, very good. Lilith, Roswin, Melody. Please find a place to make yourselves comfortable. I hope you don't mind an audience.
I'll do my best. Hope this isn't too bad of a time. You seem pretty busy.
Just exchanging stories with those that want ours. That's all. It's often best told over drink and food.
I can agree with that. And for what it's worth, I'm very interested in seeing what you all learned from that adventure totem. But I should tell my story first.
You have the floor. And
Smiles awkwardly at all the people who are probably now looking
yeah,
at her.
and a bunch of people, yeah, like a lot of people were mid conversation, and just kind of at Vitrara's word, everyone goes silent and everybody turns to look at you. But it isn't like eerie in that everyone's expressions are flat or anything. You could tell like a lot of people, some still holding drinks, some still mid bite of a piece of food, have turned and they're just kind of, they're like listening and eager and interested. Because if someone has acquired the attention of the leader of the chapter of fire, has a story to tell to them, then it's probably worth hearing.
And Lilith will dive into the tale of the glassing of the gnomish capital.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you make a performance check, and you can. Are there any embellishments you would like to do, or anything that you're going to add to make the spectacle a bit more interesting?
She's making it as interesting as she can, but she is not altering the facts in history.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, she's strangely proficient in performance from this morning. Not from elven stuff, but from another third thing.
Yep, totally weird how you just get, inspired like that when you wake up. It's crazy.
Got a ghost whispering in her ear.
Yeah, right now it's kind of like an intuition. Just like, oh no, I should flourish here and emphasize these words here and make this point. Oh, don't forget that detail.
Which seems to be working because that's a dirty 20.
Pretty good. Do either Roz or Melody want to add to anything? Or are you just going to leave Lilith to this performance, which is going pretty well?
I mean, Audie loves to perform. So if it looks like she needs some form of support or backup, she absolutely would, with the intention to not take center stage. So like if it seems like something needs a flare, basically she has like prestidigitation. She can make like small popping noises or like a breeze come through or something.
Mm-hmm,
She
mm-hmm.
tries to be the effects person for this performance.
Right.
You both know Lilith well enough to know that she is not comfortable at the center of a crowd. She's doing her best, but this is not her forte. It's made easier by the fact that she's talking about history.
I really think that Roz came here to support Lilith emotionally if she needed it, but it seems like she's doing pretty well. So instead, Roz is starry eyed and listening,
Mm-hmm.
being entertained by history.
You've been enthralled in more than ways than once.
I wonder why.
Mm-hmm. Okay. you make sure not to skimp on the details, recalling everything that your ancestor experienced personally. There are parts of the history that are different than some might know because of how personal the recall of this information is. Which is also to say, your ancestor from this era was not as regarded in the same way that your family is now a long running history of warriors. This was one of the first who put their prowess to the test in untested combat like this, and inevitably emerged as someone who discovered this trait about themselves, the one that kind of started it all. And through that, the tale is carried on the back of this person who was both unknown and unknowing of themselves and their confidence, but with an understanding that they have to do this. And it kind of parallels itself to the current situation that a lot of people are finding themselves in, facing in a difficult situation in which your whole world is drastically changed, and with it, a bunch of information and relevant things, along with unique little bits and pieces of peoples and battles that were never directly told or shared with anybody else because of who they belonged to, which was your family and no one else. And with it, you think at the end, there's a brief pause that hangs in the air. You can tell everyone's kind of looking to Vatrara to see her response, to which there's, at the end of it, polite applause, kind of golf clapping, to not disrupt the tension and the atmosphere that you've clearly spent some time working to build. And by the time it is finished, you see that there is a nod, an acknowledgement that what you have given has been more than sufficient. You've paid your due.
Thank you, Paul, for taking the time to listen.
You are welcome to stay and partake and imbibe and enjoy yourselves for the time being. Matter of fact, you are free to, during any time today, return should you desire comfort or leisure or food or luxury. Consider that the extension of my hospitality for the story you've given us.
I greatly appreciate it. She'll look at the others. Well, that went well.
Surprisingly well. That was a good story.
Make it tell her yet.
Yeah, I spent most of last night and this morning thinking about it, so I think that helped.
Well, who knew that you were so damn good at making history? A barren subject, mind you, sounds so damn good.
History's not boring.
You didn't skip out on Lotus's classes, you'd know that.
And she gives Roz a bit of a shoulder, an elbow.
Ow. My brew's easy. All right, well, what's next for our day then?
Probably try to
Um,
get some information about the totem, eh?
yeah, I was just about to ask. Uh, is there a written uh, note about what you encountered in the totem, or
Yes, of course. Allow me to have one of my initiates fetch you a copy. Consider it part of your storytelling as a reward. And you'll quickly see as they flag over one of the initiates not participating in the festivities and send them running off, and they come back with a small, basically small envelope, you know, basic paper size. You can tell there's some documents in it, and they will very gingerly hand it to you.
we'll turn to the others back again and immediately begin reading it.
Yeah, it'll take you like 20 minutes to parse through the whole report. Essentially, the header on it is of young heroes and their academy. And the short synopsis, of which I will write a proper one over the course of the week, is essentially telling a tale about a group of 5 heroes, very young, that were being trained by a title bearer to help become the next generation's heroes to keep the world's balance. And a great, terrible evil fell upon their academy, displacing them, killing many of the people there. And the mission is following them as they've landed in an unknown place, being pursued by an unknown enemy, and the things they have to do to try to survive. The clear rank that the initiates that were sent there received was only a C. So there's still a great deal value remaining in the totem.
I suppose with Lilith being the history nerd she is, and this being a pretty unique tale with a title bearer training mortals and such. Does this ring any bells as something that Lilith has ever heard of? A
You can make a history check or religion check, whichever you
absolute
prefer. I think I know which one.
21.
You don't know these events. And there weren't necessarily any title bearers that were known to openly claim and train young individuals to be heroes. But if you had to guess, out of title bearers that have fallen out of the pantheon in the duration of the last 100 or so years, it could be one of two. One, technically fallen out of the pantheon, but then also having rejoined it, could have been Halir, going from the knight to the vigilante. Or one that always had a fascination for all things related to this phenomenon, which would be the scholar.
She will kind of idly think out loud at the others, uh, presumably while kind of walking out of the camp after
Mhm.
looking through the report, sharing it with them. Sounds exciting.
Probably. And if we got the time to do it, might be doing it next. Who knows?
Yeah, they only got a C rank, so if we do better, we'll get something good, probably.
Of course we'll do better. We're the best. Didn't you just see our last mission?
Yeah, I mean, a group of 5 young heroes. Most of our party kind of fits that role. Maybe we'll get a better rank because we think more like them.
Hmm, most of us.
Most. I can still young.
Hmm, sure he is. Wait, well, we got to do some other stuff with our day, right? I've
Yeah,
had I've had my fill of history. I think my brain's been embiggened at least 3 times in the last hour.
yeah, I think I can see your forehead swelling a little bit.
It
Are you saying
hurts.
I got a fat head?
I do now.
Well, I don't really have anything else big planned. Want to get dinner tonight?
Oh, I'm sorry, was that for all of us or was that just for us?
Hmm?
Hmm?
Sorry, I think I actually missed it. What was said?
Lilith said, I don't think I have much else going on for the rest of the day. You want to get dinner tonight?
Yeah, love to. Boy, just me or Audie.
Dottie can come if she wants.
Yeah, I gotta clean up a bit before then and go to people to track down. Who knows, there might be performance tonight.
Or anybody we know.
I'm sure. I'm sure you might know a couple of them. You've been by the pub long enough.
Wow, how interesting.
Oh, guess we'll all go do our own stuff for a bit and meet up later tonight.
All right, later tonight it is.
And they all walk away in the same direction.
Classic.
We all live at the same spot.
Melody, what's the first thing you wanna begin on? Where you gonna head off?
So she definitely desperately needs to clean up because she probably would have done like a quick wash in the river this morning kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the idea of actually like soaking and like feeling better
Yeah.
is going to be top of that list. She's like, you know what? We're actually home, wind down a bit. So.
Yeah, go get a bath with the seductress. That's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, easy enough to do. How long is Adi gonna take?
She'll probably take the full hour. Like,
Okay.
yeah, she's very much just gonna enjoy herself, um, and probably take a moment to step into the Daisy to see if there are any spots for performing either tonight, tomorrow, during the couple of days they're resting up.
There were always slots available. The evening and late evening both has availability.
Yeah. She'll take something up in the late evening then.
Okay. Well, Roz, Lilith, anything important you wanted to get done?
Yeah, before I forget, Roz
Yeah.
needs to go buy some armor.
Yeah, that is the thing, huh?
Yeah, she currently has none.
Lilith is gonna go to the Dusty Daisy and ask if she can get a specialty dinner made with some coin in advance notice.
Yeah, specialty dinner, not a problem. Do you have a particular region, culture, or cuisine you're looking for?
I'm hoping to treat my friends to some traditional Safinist cooking.
Yeah, we can do that. We're familiar.
Great.
Any specifics, or you just want us to provide a spread?
I think a spread is good. A
All
little
right.
bit of everything.
And for how many?
3.
For 3 people. And when do you want this meal prepared?
We'll say for 6 o'clock.
You see him kind of like lean back, talk to somebody on the other side of the bar, nods a few times. All right, I think we can do that. You haven't really given us many other requirements, so should be easily doable.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Want anything extra for the extra work?
Oh, well, specialty requests always come at a cost. The free meals that all you mercs receive every day are what is produced on that day. So, yeah, if you want something special, as in this particular case, it will cost you a little extra, yeah.
Of course. Name the price.
Scrolling. For the whole thing, it's going to be 15 silver.
You will hand them 17 silver.
Thank you. And under whose name do you want this to be?
Lilith.
All right. Well, 6 o'clock, Safinus meal. Not a problem. We'll keep some seats open for you, so that way you can have a place to sit.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. See you
Mhm.
later. She will wander off.
Okay. Okay. Roz,
Hmm.
gonna go get some splint mail.
That's right. Um, Not sure where the best place is to get it though.
Unfortunately, you basically only have one choice now.
Figures.
Yeah, the craftsmen, when if you were to go there to ply about that, they would tell you that the gear that they sold at cost like that were for new first time mercenaries.
Hmm.
It's part of the arrangement they have with Covert.
Got it.
So you could either pay them to make you a suit of armor, which would seem counterintuitive given that you already have one in the process. Otherwise, all direct purchases have to go through the merchantry.
Well. Guess that little guy's gonna have to be afraid once again.
Roll me a percentile die. Let's see if you're going to run
Yep.
into him again. Maybe he's on lunch.
It is an 8. Double zeros and an 8.
Oh. Good for him. He doesn't have to deal with you. So you head over to the merchantry. And you go to the side where the weapons and armor are clearly stored and on display. They have glass cases and mannequins dressed up in full suits of armor. Several things on display are clearly magical, with little cards notating what they are, who they've been made by, and of course, the somewhat large costs attached to them. There are several clerks kind of working various sections of what is this essentially a open air marketplace. But specifically here in the weapons and armor, you would note a very large, heavy set Florin, who is backed by a dragon eye and black scale mail that is roughly shape and size of Titan, with this enormous, broad greatsword that they have held in front of them. Well, welcome to the merchantry. How can I help you today?
Hi there. I need a new set of armor. My last one was kind of torn to ribbons.
Your line of work is a dangerous one. That happens.
That did not happen in my line of work, funnily enough. But yes, I'm looking for a new set of armor to replace that one.
Well, we have many fine choices here for you. What kind of fit are you looking for? Something heavy? Something light?
I'm a heavy lass. I like my armor to match.
All right. Do you have anything particular in mind?
Well, the last suit that was destroyed was a splint mail set, and the chain mail that I just wore I hate.
Hmm. Well, how about something that's a little sturdier? Something made from a metal that is nigh indestructible. About something with a little adamantine.
That sounds like it would come with quite the price tag.
Well, it would guarantee your safety while wearing it. Is your life really worth so little to you?
I don't know how to answer that question without sounding kind of dumb.
You're right, that is unfair of me. I'm just saying, those of your kind that wear armor out into dangerous missions such as the ones you and all these brave people here undertake, it is the thing between you and your opponent's weapons that saves your life. I would just merely encourage a consideration towards a valuable purchase that'll help keeping you alive. Be able to come back to your loved ones here.
Uh-huh. And I'm sure they'd be more than happy if I did have something like that, but I'm a newer mercenary and my budget's not massive, you understand.
I do, of course. Pardon me, my salesman ways tend to kick in. If you need to keep things to a relative lower end of the cost, we have options. Things that are made of still fine, sturdy materials that you might find interesting. So if you'd just follow me, and I'll show you some offerings we have.
All right, happy to do so.
And very slowly, very deliberately takes you over to the section of armors where there are several mannequins that are wearing things. You walk past increasingly more expensive suits of armor that they're wearing, things that are bejeweled with intricate carvings in them. Some that has one that has a breastplate and a suit of plate mail that has a scene of a winged dragon breathing fire onto a knight, blocking it with a shield. And it is beautifully done. And you walk past all of those. And eventually you get to a table where there are several various suits that have been folded and neatly piled into their respective pieces. Now, I'm sure you've already walked through much of this. I probably don't need to talk to you a great deal about what these are capable of doing. Do you have a particular need? Do you just need some sturdy? We have plenty of fine, heavier armor made from well forged steel that'll help guarantee safety in the most dangerous of times.
Steel and sturdy is absolutely perfect.
All right. If that is the basic needs you're looking at, we can provide that to you. Do you have a certain make in mind, ma'am?
I suppose I hadn't, as long as it's not chainmail again. Not a fan of it.
Hmm. All right. Well, we have two offerings here for you.
All
One
right.
is on the more expensive side, the other one a little bit more cost effective. So we have this fine set of dwarven plate mail here. It's much heavier than normal, but it will certainly make it when you plant your feet that you can guarantee ain't nobody moving you but you. Or if I if you're looking to save up for a bigger purchase in the future, and he winks at you, we have a fine offer in here at a set of splint mail. Solid craftsmanship, sturdy steel. No frills, but reliable.
Hmm. And just to put it out there, how much is the dwarven plate?
The dwarven plate is 2,300 silver pieces, ma'am.
Hmm. And the splint?
The splint By comparison, much more reliable, cost effective, 300 silver.
Hmm. Well, I'll I'll be taking the splint then, if you don't mind.
A fine choice. Would you like us to wrap that up in a parcel for you to carry?
That'd be nice, yes.
Very well. And you see him kind of turn and he snaps fingers, and there's a clerk that immediately walks up and you see him point, and they begin packing the split mail up for you. Takes about 2-3 minutes, and then eventually you're handed a very nice leather satchel with all the armor nicely folded together with an interweaving sheets of cloth, so that way it doesn't clank very much while you're carrying it.
Right. I appreciate it very much. Here's your grailers, and I'll be seeing you again sometime for a better suit, likely.
I bet you
Assuming I don't
will.
find a better one later.
Well, when you've had a chance to grow your wealth and your fame, come back here. There are some suits of armor here that will be just as storied as your reputation will become. I guarantee it.
I'll remember to do so. Thank you.
Very good. I look forward to the next time you come to the Gilden Rose Merchantry. And he gives you just a perfect white, beaming smile.
Roz is doing a great job of not showing how very uncomfortable she is, and she leaves.
Okay. As you all are in your respective moments, Titan's down on the southern side of the camp helping tend to those that have been brought back. Corona is on the northern side of the camp, talking to Vanya at the shooting range, just kind of in a zen place, kind of working, practicing, being ready for the next fight that you guys end up in. Adi, you're bathing, getting rid of the grime and muck and the wear and exhaustion of the mission, and perhaps a little bit of stress that you didn't realize you were carrying. Lilith, you've run off. You've ordered a dinner. You have acquired a somewhat interesting report, which you pore over and you memorize little bits and pieces, names, places, key items that were mentioned and highlighted. Were you running off to anywhere particular after that dinner order?
I think afterwards, seeing that it's already afternoon, she's just heading back to camp to relax for a bit, go
Okay.
over the report again.
Perfect. As you're all going about what feels like a normal day in camp, none of you come to realize it particularly soon or fast as the information isn't reaching your ears first. But there is a series of movements of perimeter guards and scouts that begin moving to the west. The interior of the camp doesn't really heed any difference. But it is when some of you are going back towards the main side of the camp. Roz, Audie, you're exiting the Seductress. Some of you would notice that the central pillar where Covert is always located is no longer there, and some of you might catch a glimpse of him running through the western side of the camp. And then eventually murmurs begin. Words coming in from those that were on perimeter patrols, or those that were out fishing or foraging, hunting, or just out on a walk. Things that they saw, things that they heard. Apparently, a group of heavily armed and armored individuals have appeared on the western perimeter, badly wounded. And a large amount of people responsible for the defense of the camp have gone to go see what this is about. It isn't before long, while some of you've come to the conclusion about what you're doing in that moment, whether or not to go see or even perhaps follow, that about, well, a very short window of time when you can begin seeing in the distance large, heavily armored figures at a steady march back towards the camp, ringed by camp guards and mercenaries whose respective duties were on patrol today. And as they get closer and closer, it is clear that the silver and gold armor trimmed in green belongs to the Immortal Bastion, those at the heart of this formation. But a quick head count tells you they're not all there. And when they actually get to the edge of the camp and they begin marching through, it is obvious that they are dragging two of their own behind them, wounded, unable to carry themselves. Glimpses show that segments of their heavy plate mail have gashes torn into them. Some have sections of arms that have turned black. A curse or some kind of necrotic infection. Lucilla is still at the front. Always by her side is her brother, Lucius. His helmet has been cracked in half, exposing part of his face. He carries only with him the gladius on his belt now, his halberd and his shield missing. And even though that armor appeared to be made of such craftsmanship and material that it would appear to be unbreakable like the wall from the place they once stood for, it has been broken. They march through the camp with great purpose towards the southern side, towards the Orphans' Refuge, where the now dwindling number of prisoners of war that have been brought back are located. And it is a flurry for some time. Now the clerics acting with such purpose as to try to save those that are clearly wounded and tend to those others that are wounded but able to walk. The Immortal Bastion has returned. But much like on their name, not all of them did. So, who would like to do what first?
Ah. Well, Roz needs to go talk to Lucilla then and figure out what the hell happened.
Okay. Eventually, you trail in behind them. There are furrows torn into the grass and rock and dirt from where the other Bastion members were being dragged behind them. Again, just reminding you about how dense and heavy their armor was. Sort of echoed in the conversation you just had with that salesman back at the merchant tree. The armor he was offering you to protect your life, to save you, unbreakable as it may be. Those known for it, it didn't save them. It's easy to find Lucilla. She's standing outside one of the tents where several of the clerics and acolytes are working furiously to try to save the lives of the two Bastion members that were brought in unconscious and bleeding and wounded heavily. I would even dare say Titan's probably involved as well.
Yep. But I was giving right of way to Roz.
Lucilla's outside the tent. She's got her arms currently wrapped around her midsection, Her brother is nearby, but is currently seated on top of a heavy crate. And some clerics are currently helping remove the broken and damaged armor off of him. Now that his helmet has been removed, you can see that half of his face carries that same sort of black necrotic stain that many of them have. Despite that, though, he's still holding himself together as he's always been whenever you've seen Lucius. Stoic, unmoving, unaffected. His eyes are staring past his sister and into the tent to where those whose lives are dangling by a thread.
Lucilla?
She starts and then turns around. Roz, good to see you.
I'm really happy to see you all right. What happened? Are they gonna be okay?
A lot, I don't know. We've all been we have curses on us. It repels divine magic. I couldn't heal any of them. We had to carry them back.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was worse than we expected. The initial presence was manageable. We were a positive matchup against what was inside waiting. What it seemed like when we were close to finishing and closing it like it was planned, we were ambushed by something awful.
You don't have to say more. I understand. Uh, um, I don't know. Would you at least like company while you wait for news?
I'd like that.
All right. Um, I'll just sit here with you, and you don't have to say a word. All right.
He just nods in response.
And Roz will sit with Lucilla in silence.
Yeah. She does take hold of your hand, though. And she just holds on to it, and she squeezes very tightly, and it never seems to relent. Titan.
Yep.
Seem to have a very important role to play here. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah, let's see what I can do.
Show me what you got.
Show me what you've got. In a rapid medical situation like this, a lot of information is quickly being disseminated, questions being asked, things being discovered kind of on the spot, of which the most important thing that was provided up front is that, as you would be able to observe on them and several other members as people were being carted in, that there is this dark necrotic infection that is permeating various parts of the members. A curse that is repelling divine magic. So the healing provided by the clerics, likewise healing amongst the members of the Bastion, have no effect. So the lives of these people brought in here will be saved solely on the expert medical knowledge of the handful of doctors and yourself that are here.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to do a bit of a skill challenge.
Sounds good.
Yeah, hang on. I'm just trying to find the relevant document. There we are. So. Just getting to the right page. Because we didn't totally integrate this into the game doesn't mean I'm still not going to use it. Okay. We are going to we're going to go through some things. So first, let's just get Titan a basic preliminary understanding about the difficulties of the two patients that are having the greatest focus brought onto them. So make a medicine check.
Hey. No, I want that to be better.
It's not good enough.
Okay. After spending an inspiration point, a modified 20.
Okay. Titan, you weren't at the dinner with the Bastion, right?
Titan was not at the dinner with the Bastion.
Okay. In which case, the two peoples in front of you, you're not familiar with, only tangentially through probably the conversations you've had with your friends following that night, and the occasional visit from the Bastion, who before their mission, they would bring over food occasionally, things that they caught with them, that they caught on various trips and things like that. So you have two individuals here. One, male, human, like many of the members of the Bastion, quite tall. He's 6'2", heavily muscled due to the weapon and armor choice that they have. Several various battle scars that are observable. Most notably, for this individual, the biggest problem that they're suffering from is that other than from basically from their midsection up, encompassing most of their chest, left arm, and up the neck and the side of their head, is this dark necrotic curse that has been previously mentioned. But they have a 3-pronged wound dead center of their abdomen, in a section that you believe it could easily be complications for like a ruptured lung, stomach, intestine easily. Along with several broken bones, which could have also provided some of these previously mentioned things, and even potentially, depending upon what it was, damage to the spine as well. This seems to be the biggest problem. It is bleeding at a rate that seems not irregular, but a lot, especially given that the ability for them to staunch it with basic medicine was their only option. The other in question is a female heir, Aurea, a giant kid. Their curse is affecting them from pretty much their entire right leg and up a bit of the part of the right side of their abdomen, mostly just around the ribs. This person is suffering from multiple smaller lacerations all around their body. Looks kind of like what you'd imagine someone to appear if they were inside the mouth of something with very large teeth and were being chewed on. However, they have just this brutal head wound that has been heavily bandaged to the best of the abilities of those there, and it is currently going to be in the process of slowly being removed to see actually what's being dealt with. But based off of the general trauma you can observe elsewhere, you feel like with your expertise, and especially with a bit of your draconic background and heritage in your studies, this looks like someone who was inside something's mouth that tried to bite down on them repeatedly, and you think it worked once, and it appears to be as if a tooth pierced the helmet and perhaps their skull.
Ooh,
something something that is perhaps reasonable to deal with powerful enough magics, but with practical medicine is perhaps more difficult. But those
Yeah.
are the two rough synopses you have. You're welcome to choose
Okay.
one patient to work on. The other one will be dealt with via NPC.
Heighton's going to. I mean, he's just going into doctor mode. You save who you think you can save.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not confident in his ability to deal with a head wound. And more or less accepts that guy's probably going to die unless one of the other doctors is better at it. So he's going to focus on the one with the three-pronged stab wound, the trident wound.
Okay. That's reasonable. So, want me to find a relevant thing? Okay. So, like I said, we're going to use a mild version of the surgery rules that we once spoke about.
Hooray!
You get to make essentially a surgeon tools ability check, which will either be done with dexterity or intelligence. You get to choose, opposed by the DC of the surgery, which will be based on the wound. Each attempt takes 30 minutes. If you meet or exceed the DC, the surgery is a success. If you fail to meet the DC, you have not yet succeeded but may continue to attempt. Each time you fail, they will take a certain amount of damage that will be subtracted from the maximum HP, and if it ever hits 0, the patient dies.
Okay, sounds good. Attempting the most serious wound first, which he believes is the one that has the potential to have pierced the lung.
Mm-hmm.
Broken ribs or something to be dealt with much later. Unless they are currently piercing lungs, but then that's all being dealt with at once.
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly.
Anyways, medicine check. That's inspiration. That one.
Oh.
I know, right off the bat, both. But the second roll was quite a bit better. Tools check. And you said intelligence or dexterity?
Correct.
Then I'm going to go with intelligence, which brings me to 24.
24 is a success.
Good.
Yeah, good. In 30 minutes, you begin the operation. The more you work in this, the more you realize that the problem that you're dealing with, this perforation to the chest that has an opportunity to have pierced several other organs that can cause multiple problems. One, you learn a few things about it at the very least. The broken ribs aren't piercing anything else, but the ribs on the side of his left side where the curse is spreading, several of them were basically pulverized. They're in bits from whatever blow that he took. So good news, bad news scenario, basically.
Yeah.
You can, in fact, patch up both the lung, which was ruptured, punctured, and appropriately remove essentially anything that was going to be of risk to his life, and close up the wound and do it so in a way that he is not going to continue bleeding internally. It is a success. Like that is solved.
Good. 2 more wounds and a curse to deal with.
Yeah.
All right.
Which do you want to tackle next?
Probably one at the lungs, one probably piercing stomach. Lower ones probably through some intestines, maybe some other important organs. Let's do the lowest one.
Okay.
Might have nicked a kidney, which would be worse than the stomach.
Okay. Yeah, this is essentially, for the sake of these, it's a shrapnel surgery is kind of the goal. You're going to go in, you're going to find the things that are causing the pierces, and then you're going to remove them and deal with any of the consequences of those things there. Same as before. So, surgical tools check, air quotes. Intelligence, relevant proficiency bonus.
Very good. At 27.
Wow, crazy good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Titan is a doctor, damn it. Another 30 minutes go by. And this is rough, bloody work. You manage to extract some shrapnel, which you do realize part of the problem is that he actually had segments of his own armor that were essentially shoved into him from the attacks that he suffered.
Yeah, that'll do it.
But Titan, you are a surgeon and a damn good one. This is another success, clear and easy. You essentially have one last great concern to deal with.
Okay.
The curse will address later.
Yeah. He's gonna do his best on it. Here we go. Modified 20.
Okay. Because of the successes of the previous two surgeries, the 20 is sufficient.
Oh, yay. I was worried.
If you didn't succeed on both of the other ones, essentially had one of them had to go an extra 30 minutes, the DC of that one would have risen. This last one would have risen, and it was essentially going to tick up by 1 for every failure, with also subsequent maximum HP damage. So
I spent the inspiration point.
it worked out. The last surgery is perhaps not as harrowing as it could have been. As a doctor who this field is your expertise, you've realized that a lot of the parts you've worked on up to this point has made where this last little bit is kind of like the nexus of everything, because you were able to work on everything else so well. This last part is easy. It's still difficult and delicate, but for you, a professional, an expert, it is easier to do. However, when you are done and you know the physical trauma that your expertise has been able to handle, the inevitable thing that has to be addressed is the curse. Because if the curse stays on them, they will not heal, and the surgery will essentially be for naught. So, Titan, if you want to do anything about this curse, it's going to require an Arcana check.
Yep.
Or a religion check, whichever you prefer.
Same stat. Let me think about it while I'm rolling dice. I've been doing Arcana this whole time. Let's do a religion check. 21.
Okay. 21. So, curses are usually fairly complex things. The most important and common understanding of them, that you, as someone who's studied and read about them, along with those who practice them, the most important part about a curse is that curses require a specific ingredient for a specific curse type. For this curse to have taken hold, you need essentially that same ingredient to be able to remove the curse. However, there are exceptions when it comes to Mercurian creatures, because their existence unto itself is a sort of cursed existence, at least by the understanding of arcane magics. and curses and the study of them, their existence, their parts, the way they affect beings from this plane versus their own is essentially a curse. The short answer to this problem is you need a part of whatever did this to be able to undo the curse.
Okay.
I mean, addendum, and or an extremely powerful spellcaster.
Yes. Then in that case, I mean, Titan's gonna look over at the other table. It looks like they're working away, not needing him necessarily.
Let's find out.
Let's find out.
That's a great question. It's not going well over there. It is really not going well over there.
Okay. If you'll allow it, Titan will lend some aid towards the end.
You're more than welcome to hop in.
Okay.
Again, we'll keep it short and sweet. Make me another check.
Come on, dice. Don't let me down.
You can tell they've had substantially less success than you.
Math.
Oh no, my greatest
Well,
enemy.
panicking. All right. I did 25.
Really good.
17 on the dice. Very
Yeah.
happy.
It is enough to succeed on this one, but just barely. The hardest part about dealing with this person, while they have various physical traumas, none of them are threatening their life. The only one that is clear and obvious to the threat on their life is the head wound. With your assistance and the other surgeon present, for the record, because this is kind of your thing, you know you two are the only surgeons in the whole camp. And the other one is not a properly trained surgeon like you, not a what's a classically trained surgeon like you. Like they have a kind of a similar background where they learn medicine through necessity, but then eventually got into doing surgery as a necessity. They never really got an opportunity to learn it formally, which is kind of showing. Because this work, the thing you were faced with, which is brain trauma, was really kind of outside their scope. You're able to go in there, and you're able to stabilize this person for now. Again, the curse is a problem, and really, you've been in this person's head, literally. You know the only thing that'll probably be able to bring them back to the person they were before is an extremely powerful healing spellcaster. So this is a twofold, because you think if a spellcasting like that was that powerful in the camp, they could probably remove the curse too. Although you were given a little twist of that knot, which is divine magic doesn't work on them. Yes. So if there was a powerful spellcaster, they would need to be natural or arcane. Probably arcane.
Yes.
It's more in the vein of arcane magic, but
fair enough. Then once she stabilized, as in not actively dying
for now,
Titan's going to leave the tent and try and find I'm so bad with names when I'm stressed like this. The leader of the group.
Of the Bastion?
Of the Bastion, yes.
Brother or sister?
Sister, probably.
Lucilla is nearby. You can do the classic TV moment of the doctor walking out of the tent, wiping his hands. And you'll find Roz and Lucilla standing outside. And similarly, because again, he's very hard to miss due to his build, Lucius, the brother, is only about 5 to 10 feet away.
Okay. But yeah, Titan will come over. The immediate danger is taken care of. Their wounds have been dealt with as best we can. They're stable. They're not going to get better without while they have that curse on them. Is anybody in your group a trophy taker? Anyone you can think of that might have taken stuff from the monsters that attacked you?
Yeah. We have someone that took a part of the creature after we managed to kill it. We just got to find him.
All right. If you can get them and get those pieces, we may be able to do something about the curse. But
yeah. Okay.
We could use powerful arcane spellcasters or natural spellcasters. Whoever you can get a hold of, as strong as you can get. Just not divine.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Roz, can you help me? Yeah.
Sorry, lost internet for a sec. What'd you say?
Lucilla was asking for your help to go find an extremely powerful spellcaster in the camp that's willing to help.
Of course, absolutely.
But before we run away with this, Lilith, Audie, not to leave you out, what are you two doing?
I mean, Audie sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Audie probably would have made her way over, but doesn't really know how to interject herself, so she's probably kind of standing off to the side but watching.
Okay.
Lilith was more or less the same. As they were walking through, she was kind of wide-eyed and slack-jawed, but she did a head count and she's trying to remember from the dinner which ones aren't there.
Fair. You want to make a history check to see what you can recall?
It's already 11 o'clock inspiration. It's already 11 o'clock inspiration.
I was gonna say not to dogpile, but if Audie's also watching.
Yeah, if you both are
should just say-
vested in trying to head count, by all means.
22.
Nice.
Rolled 3 times, so also going to use an exploit die for reliable skill, which turns it into an 8 for a 16 total.
Oh. Okay. Sure. Piecemeal. Lilith, you can't exactly figure out like who are the two that are extremely wounded, the ones being operated on. Amongst all the heads, not all of the members are readily apparent. But you did notice coming in out of the group, there are 2 members of the Mortal Bastion that are very large by comparison to everyone else. Lucius and Timber, the wildling bear. Timber you didn't see on the march back in. So you're not sure if he was one of the ones being dragged or if he just didn't make it back at all. Audie, amongst all the hubbub of them coming in, catching glances here or there and having an opportunity to stand and look and watch, you catch glimpses of various other members of the Immortal Bastion being tended to by the other acolytes and clerics that are who are in lesser danger than their compatriots, having armor removed and being tended to the best of their abilities. You've got a much better grasp on who, what, and where, which is out of the members that are here, distinctly, Timber, the wildling bear, did not return. He was not amongst the group. And the 2 that are being operated on are Caius, the one with the strawberry blonde hair, and Breika, the Aurea.
Sorry, who was the first one?
Caius. Caius.
And Caius would be the one with the abdominal puncture.
Yes. Yeah, he was also amongst the Immortal Bastion, one of the fairly talkative ones.
Mm-hmm.
He was very spirited, light of heart. He was described as a puppy dog following his owners over dinner.
Any others missing?
Nope. All the others are present and accounted for in various states of, hurt.
Yep.
Yeah. So after the surgeries are done, again, bated breath being held, eventually Titan exits, to which that is when everyone kind of gets the cumulative point across that somebody with a substantial amount of magical power, somehow in some form of spellcasting, needs to be found. Somebody that could be plied or asked to participate in this so that way they can remove a curse. And that is more or less the mission given to everybody present. Because Lucilla's asked Roz. Roz said yes. Lucilla will beg the rest of you to help as well. Basically, to break off and run in any direction to ask for anybody that can provide help. And I know we're kind of at time, but I just want to get a rough idea as to who's going to go where. You don't have to give an answer. You can think about it over the course of the week, but I just wanted to see if anyone had any ideas right now.
I mean, right off the top, Audie would basically... Covert knows about this, so I don't think anybody needs to fetch him.
Oh, Covert's nearby.
He's nearby.
Yep.
I figured.
Oh, it's such a shame, Audie.
Oh, such a shame.
Covert already knows. You think Covert needs
What do you
to be
mean I can't go
told?
get him?
But her next step when she thinks of like strong spellcasters would be to Sergeant Sky.
Fair enough. Audie's going to head to the White Cross Company camp.
I think that Roz's first thought is Vitrara, who we just saw.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Roz is going to suggest to Lucilla that they go to the chapter fire.
Okay. Lilith, any ideas?
Curiosity, is Covert the only adjutant
Yes.
reputation?
Yes, he's the only one at this camp.
Okay.
For now.
In that case, seeing how friends are splitting up. Sorry, which way was Audie going?
White Cross.
White Cross.
And no shame in doubling down. White Cross has a lot of people in it.
Yeah, I think Lilith will make her way towards White Cross too, with the intention of speaking to Bandit, knowing that he probably can't do anything himself, but he'll know somebody can if they have somebody.
Fair enough. Okay. So Roz and Lucilla are going to go to the chapter of fire. Audie and Lilith are going to go to White Cross to speak to different parties. As the session is coming to a close, people are running. Time is of the essence, even though with Titan's skills, he has bought everybody, at least those two people, more time than they deservedly had when they were dragged in here. Roz, as you're hoofing it there, with Lucilla in tow, you hear a voice enter into your head. Are you satisfied with this outcome? You can prevent any future problems such as this arising again. We can provide you with an answer now.
I think whatever she's doing, Roz stops absolutely cold. Who are you?
We've met before.
Oh, it's you.
Yes.
I think if she can, Roz is going to stop Lucilla. I am hearing some things in my head. I might be able to save your friends, but there's a price.
Roz, I don't know what that is, and I couldn't ask you to trade your life for theirs.
I let's go to the chapter of fire. Just I want you to know that if it comes to it, I owe you my life, and I'm not gonna.
We will see what your hesitation brings you. Tick tock, tick tock. And we're going to end the session there.
How rude.
Boy, oh
And
boy.
no pressure at all.
Zero. None.
Really
Not at
got
all.
really got to start driving home some points here.
A few, yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry, the other one's going to be coming next session.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
Roz is going to be faced with a tough decision.
Oh, that's fun.
Whose life will it cost? Let's find out next week.
Oh boy.
But yeah, we're done. Session's over. You survived another day.
It's a close one.
For some. But yeah.
It was a close one, I can promise you. So some of those dice rolls were questionable when we used inspiration. I was like, oh, this is rough.
But you brought it back.
Yes.
Yeah. Honestly,
Titan is
it's
good
like
at what Titan does.
yeah, it's like
Titan is good at what Titan does.
those checks were not supposed to be easy to do, and you just walked through all of them. Like, you did so well, you were able to go to the next one, and the point of it was you shouldn't have been able to, but you just did.
I mean, I'm not going to switch the slogan over to Titan, but these dice definitely love a good story sometimes, because lowest roll after the inspiration was a 14, so.
Yeah, good.
And expertise is expertise, you know?
Yep. Oh boy.
Don't worry, I evened it out by using all two of my inspiration, not rolling above an 8. Thankfully, that check didn't matter.
Yeah. Not ultimately. Don't worry, you will have an opportunity to get more inspiration for next week. People still might die. Or maybe not, who knows? Anywho's it. You know, it's getting late. Bedtime. Work tomorrow for me. The usual. Now the usual anyway. So yeah, hey. Stuff. Life. Difficult sometimes. Make our choices. Bye.
Let's drag it out, chat.
Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And we're going. And we're going. And we're going. And we're gone.